War Eagle.
Woo! All right. Auburn Updates brought to you by Bay Point Golf. And let me tell you what, they're all listening today. They know who we've got coming on today. We've got a legend, Andy Burcham. Andy, thank you so much for coming on. We got a lot of fans here in the Panhandle of Florida. As a matter of fact, we've got some texts from all over the country. They're listening today because they knew he was coming on today. But how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. It's a gorgeous day here in Auburn. Getting ready to head to Baton Rouge tomorrow for a relatively big football game down at Tiger Stadium. But I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
Well, I want to tell you, my daughter thinks the world of you, and I'm just thankful that you come on our show. We appreciate it so much. I know you're a busy man. But real quick, give us a quick rundown about your history. We know about the tragedy that happened, but
Right.
You've been involved in Auburn for a long time. But talk about where you went to school. Give everybody in the Panhandle an idea of your background.
I grew up in Nashville, Illinois, which is about 50 miles southeast of St. Louis, in a small farming community of about 3,000. I went to Indiana State University, studied radio, TV, and film, and 3 days after I graduated, went to work in my first radio job. I worked for a year in Bloomington, Illinois, and then 4 years in Carbondale, Illinois, SIU Carbondale, and then I moved to Auburn in September of 1988. And I worked at a number of radio stations here and have been involved with Auburn athletics ever since.
Wow. And talk about your wife. Did she not go to Auburn?
She is. She grew up in Opp, Alabama, home of the Rattlesnake Rodeo, and she grew up in a split family. Her mother and Jan both graduated from Auburn, and her sister and her father, who was a physician in Opp, both graduated from Alabama. So That was always an interesting dynamic at dinner time.
Yeah.
And then Jan got her bachelor's and her PhD at Auburn, and Jan now is the associate dean for the College of Education and Health Performance at Columbus State. She's the true star of our family. That's for sure.
Hey, I'm telling you, that hits home with me. My sister, daughter, Auburn, the youngest, Alabama. My brother's son, the oldest, went to Auburn. The youngest went to Alabama. So it's kind of scary at home when Alabama Auburn play in the Iron Bowl. My dad would kind of tell everybody just to shut up. It would get heated, believe me. So I know how you feel about that. Hey, Andy, Jamie, we were talking about you last night. What has been the biggest call for you so far this year? Because you're the head guy now. What's been the biggest, most exciting call for you this year?
Well, if there's one single call, it was that touchdown pass between Bo Nix and Seth Williams with about 18 seconds to go in the Oregon game. And, for Rod, my bud, it took 2.5 games before Rod got to call a touchdown. And Auburn hadn't scored a touchdown in the first half, and I'm like, holy cow, here we go again. And Auburn got that touchdown in the third quarter and then won it there in the fourth quarter. So as I walked down to the field to do Gus Malzahn's post-game TV show, I'll be honest, I thought, why in the world did I get to call a game like this in my first game? And for Rod, it took game 3 before he got to call a game like that. So one of those mysteries that one day I'll learn the reason why.
All right, let's get into Auburn, LSU. Auburn is the only team I believe in the country has played 3 ranked teams in the top 10 in the country. I said this the other day, we got a lot of Florida Gators here. I picked Auburn to win the game in the Swamp, and I don't believe the best team won. I still don't believe the best team won that game. You take away Auburn's mistakes, they win the football game. The one long pass, the missed tackle by the linebacker, bad ankle by the safety, and, of course, Bo Nix had a bad game. You look back to 2017, Auburn lost the ball game. They had a 20-point lead down at Baton Rouge, not at a night game, but a day game. And they wound up losing the game 27-23. Last year, they lose at the very end of the ball game. And Kevin Steele and that defense did a good job against LSU's offense. I believe that LSU is going to lose to Auburn. People think I'm crazy. I feel good about the matchup. I don't think LSU has seen a defense like Auburn has. And, Glenn, what was my picks last year in college football? 15 for 15?
No, 14 out of 15.
14 out of 15. Well, almost. Anyway. But give us your take on the game. How do you think it matches up? What do you think?
Well, Auburn has not faced an offense like this yet. The fact that they're averaging over 50 points a ball game, and Joe Burrow is just at under 390 yards passing with 29 touchdown passes. Auburn has not faced a passing offense like it will face this Saturday. So that battle for Kevin Steele and that defense is the best that his team will have had so far. Listen, Florida played better than Auburn down in Gainesville 3 weeks ago. And yet, and I agree with you here, James, that the fact that if Auburn, I truly believe if Auburn goes ahead and scores that touchdown in the third quarter and takes the lead in that ball game, I think that game completely changes.
Right.
But it didn't. And then Florida took care of business in the fourth quarter and then pulled away for the win. Now, let me say, Florida was very, very good. Their defense, incredibly fast. And I was impressed with Florida. I was impressed with the atmosphere in Gainesville. But it's going to be better tomorrow, or it's going to be better Saturday in Death Valley.
Yeah.
There'll be over 100,000 fans at that ball game. And they get after you. They're right on top of you there at Tiger Stadium. And this is a really good LSU defense. I think we don't talk as much about the defense because of the prolific numbers. As Coach Malzahn said Tuesday, the video game numbers that they're putting up offensively. But this is still a very, very good defense and the second best against the rush in the SEC. So what does Auburn do without Boobie Whitlow going to Tiger Stadium on Saturday and a true freshman at quarterback? I don't know how this game's going to go right now, but if Auburn's going to win it, my guess is Auburn will have to do it from the defensive side.
Yeah, and another thing too, I'm sure you know this. Marshall's back. He is their red zone, big target, 6'4", 200-pound wide receiver, and he had 6 touchdowns before he broke his foot or had a little bone in his foot. He's back, which is going to be tough. So they're going to target him down the red zone. But I don't know why I feel good about this. I have a gut feeling. You talk to every national show, they're already talking about LSU, Alabama, down in Baton Rouge.
Right.
Their fans are talking about LSU, Alabama. The players are saying the right things. But Auburn's hearing all this noise also. The thing that concerns me is Whitlow not playing in this ball game. If he was there,
Sure.
I'd really feel good about this game.
Well, and listen, I mean, no one gave Auburn, very few of the national folks gave Auburn a chance to win at Texas A&M. How can Auburn go down there in front of over 100,000 fans with a true freshman quarterback and win the football game? And not only did Auburn do it, they won it in dominating fashion. So this, guys, in history, is the kind of game that Auburn has won. I'm not saying that Auburn's going to go down and do it, but we've seen it before with an Auburn team on the road where no one is giving Auburn a chance to win it, and we've seen Auburn come out of these kind of games with victories in the past. So, listen, I don't know how it's going to go. LSU is legit. I mean, they won in dominating fashion at Texas. They took care of business 2 weeks ago against Florida. I thought they struggled a little bit early on, but won comfortably at Mississippi State. And yes, they have the big game coming up with Alabama. And if they win on Saturday, it'll be number 1 against number 2. And the hype machine will be going like we've never heard it before. But they've got to play the Auburn Tigers first Saturday at 2:30.
I think the key, too, for Auburn's defense is how the safeties play. Thompson and Denson have to have great games. But look at the defensive line Auburn has. They have the best front 7 in college football. That's all I do is watch college football. Who else has a better defensive front than Auburn? I don't think there's anybody out there close to it.
None that I've seen. And it's nice because, listen, if there was a group that we talked about more, there wasn't a group that we talked about more in the preseason than this defensive front. Big Cat Bryant and Tyron Truesdale and Derek Brown and Marlon Davidson. And between the two, Brown and Davidson are the 5-time SEC defensive linemen of the weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you throw Nick Coe back in, and I'm hoping that Nick Coe's back in the mix this week because I think Auburn will need him. Hopefully he's taking care of all his business away from the field that prevented him from playing last week. But those guys have lived up to the billing, haven't they? And
Right.
You don't see that very often where a group is talked about. They're the best in the country. Well, they played like it through 6 games.
And they work on Mr. Brown's scoop and score so he wouldn't fall in the middle of the field.
Well, I hope so. If he gets a chance to run one in, I hope he gets a chance to do that.
Yep.
But they're outstanding up front, and
Absolutely.
they've allowed that linebacking core to grow up.
Yeah.
They've allowed KJ Britt and Owen Papo and Jacoby McClain and guys like that to grow up. And then that secondary, it's a wily bunch. They're veterans back there, but they have not seen a passing attack like they will see this Saturday against LSU. They're legit, guys. This is a great LSU ball club, and it's so drastically different from an offensive standpoint. The question to me in Baton Rouge is, why in the world did it take us this long to go to this kind of offense?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, look at the receivers. The thing about it does concern me the size of LSU's receivers. They're long, they're fast, they can leap, they can jump. I mean, they're really good. But look at LSU's defense against Texas and Florida. They combined 58 first downs. Texas and Florida did. 169 plays, 66 points, 987 yards of total offense. I think if Gus dials it up right and control the clock, limit possessions of the ball for LSU, and keep it close, I just got LSU. I got Auburn winning at the field goal at the end of the game to win. That's what I think is going to happen.
I think one of the things you just said is one of the really big keys. I think that's very insightful. Is time of possession on Saturday. Listen, Auburn typically, when Auburn's offense is going, guys, it's 3 or 4 minutes and that's it. You know, Auburn's got a quick offense. I think Auburn has to be able to, in some way, control the time of possession on Saturday and just keep that LSU offense on the sideline. If Auburn does that, they have a chance to win the football game, in my opinion. Yeah, I think it will be hard for Auburn if this becomes a shootout. I think it's hard for Auburn to keep up with LSU's offense. I think Auburn has to control the clock to win this ball game on Saturday.
I was always coached when I played college football, even in high school they call this. I grew up in Montgomery, Alabama. If you went on the road with great defense and the kicking game, and you can't have turnovers and beat yourself with penalties, I think Auburn. The one thing I'm not sure about, the kicking game. How do you feel? How does Auburn and LSU match up with one another in the special teams?
Well, you know, you look at the LSU place kicker, and he's averaging over 10 points a ball game, but a lot of that's the point after attempts. They're a little shaky when it comes to field goals. I like Auburn's kicking game. Now, listen, we haven't asked Anders Carlson to win a game yet, so we won't know about that until it happens. I like Aaron Sipos as Auburn's punter, and the fact that he's getting the hang time that they needed before, and they have limited of late the punt returns by opponents just because there's so many fair catches. So I like that. If it comes down to the kicking game, I like Auburn's chances in this one. But listen, we won't know. But I'm with you. And, you know, the phrase now is defense travels.
Yeah.
And this is a good Auburn defense, but it will be tested big time Saturday afternoon down in Baton Rouge.
Andy, we got about 1 minute. I just wanted to ask you, what is it like for you to have this job? I mean, what's it like to be you, the voice of the Auburn Tigers?
Well, in spite of the reason that I'm doing it, and I have to separate the two because I lost a friend in May, and if that accident doesn't occur, you're talking to Rod today, and not me, and I'm reminded of that every single day. But on the other hand, I owe it to the Auburn people to be thrilled with the job that I have right now, guys. I've been working for this job since I was 6. And that's when I decided this is what I wanted to do for a living, and it's never wavered for that. And I've been blessed to be able to cover Auburn for 31 years. And at age 58, I finally have my dream job. And I'm very blessed. In spite of the reason for it, I am thrilled to be able to do it. I'm thrilled to be able to talk to guys like you down in Panama City and talk about this Auburn football team. And I'm looking forward to it. It'll be easy to get up Saturday morning and get ready for that ball game.
Well, Andy, I tell you what, Auburn's fortunate to have you. You do a great job. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on.
I got one question. I got one thing. Andy, this is Coach Manley. Listen,
hey, Coach.
LSU and Florida, they sold 54,000 cans of beer. I'm putting a challenge out to the Auburn people. We need to break that record, too, as we're winning the game. So I'm just – from a guy that was born in Opelika, Lee County Hospital, go War Eagle, go Tigers.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I don't think there's anything I can do to affect that, but I hope you're right on Saturday.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Andy. Appreciate you so much, man.
Guys, have a great day. War Eagle.
War Eagle. Yeah. All right, 104.3 ESPN Panama City. Jamie Hale, thank you, dear. Yep. 104.3 ESPN Panama City. Be right back.